Hey guys, welcome back. So today we got a 2022 GV70. Customer complained front parking sensors are not working, or there's a warning light here. So I'm gonna show you guys. This vehicle just came back after the headlight replacement. So it could be that there's just a connector that's unplugged, but I'll show you what's going on. As you can see there, ultrasonic sensor error or blockage, right? So while there's a fault there, I'm just gonna scan for codes. Let's go to our BCM. Where's our IBU? Okay, IBU here. I'm just gonna go to ICU. Next, I think that's it. Or we'll go ADS parking. I don't know if it has ADS driving, but let's click all those modules. And let's see what we have here. So we got an ADS parking module, front inner right ultrasonic failure, front inner left ultrasonic failure, front side right ultrasonic failure. So that's on. So if this is the bumper, that's going to be your two center and on the right. So let's go. It's all active. Let's go to our data. Let me just put this in park. ADS park, I think. Was it ADS park? I think so. Okay, so I'm just gonna click our there's no other data. Okay, anyway. So go to front, outer, inner, outer. I don't know where there's a side here. Let's just click that up. I need the rear. Okay. So we got four fronts and two sides. I'm gonna graph that and then go and drive. So front outer left, front outer right. But these two inners are not doing anything. Okay. How about our reverse? Okay, reverse doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna lift this vehicle up. Let's check underneath, since during the replacement on the headlight on this, you have to remove the bumper. So let's double check or do a visual inspection first. Okay, so I remove our undercover. Here's our connector. When someone's gonna do a bumper, you have to remove this connector here. We got an inner fault. So we have one sensor here. It looks like that's stretched. I don't know if you guys can see that wire is stretched there. That green wire, I think that's our LIN bus there. Oh, this side here. All the right side and inner. Something to do. So how are we gonna fix this? Let me just remove this connector here. Why is it so tight? Why that's all, like, look at that. That's too bright, like that's stretched as if like, because we have a fault on the right, two right, inner and outer. So I'm gonna remove this inner here. Is it the same? Yeah, that's the same. Like that wire, the green wire, is almost gonna break. So let's compare. the far left, because we don't have a code for that. Or yeah, we don't have a code for that. So inner here, this guy, and where's the other one? This guy here. I'm just gonna check that green wire. Oh my god, the wire is so tight. This one doesn't look bad at all. So how are we gonna do this? We know that so this connection is coming from the right all the way going here. I wonder if there's a separate line for the sides, because if you're gonna think about it, from the side on the right side, there's a side sensor too, that should go through on the line. And if there's a corrupt line there, it should cut off on the side. But we have some signals there. And then I can think that this one will not be affected, because if this part here is cut off with no signal, this one can still send signals here, right? So let's double check our wiring diagram. Okay guys, so here's our wiring diagram. If you follow my mouse, this is our left side that has no problem or no codes. Left hand center, right hand center, right hand side, right? And as you can see on our side parking sensor, we have different line or wire that goes straight to the module here. So since they all shared the power, I'm not worried about the power for all the sensors. So I just tapped in on our LIN connections here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The left side is going to be the blue signal on our scope, and left center is going to be red, green, and yellow. So I'm going to show you how I do it in the car itself, and then let's see our signals. So here's my connection. I just back probe there. Just make sure you did a good back probing. So that's our right side, our center right, and then here's our left, and here's our center left. So I'm gonna lower the vehicle, and then let's see if we can acquire some signals. So let's just go through again to our wiring diagram. So earlier I was thinking that that wire was so small, could be that stretch inside of it, and thinking of the connector, I was thinking on the left side of the bumper, the big connector, I thought that's gonna go through there. But it's gonna go to a joint connector first in here. So as you can see that all our link communication is gonna go to the joint connector going to that big connector there. So um, so I'm thinking if there's a noticeable or problem here on this link communication, since this is a bus bar, maybe our side or left hand front still has communication. That's why we don't have any codes for it. But for this 1, 2, 3, there's codes on it, right? So if you don't have a scope, you can always swap the sensors, because if a shorted sensor can bring down the whole communication line. But the problem there is, if it was shorted somewhere, this guy on our left side should be shorted too, because they share the same communication line, right? So that's why I'm thinking that it could be a stretch wire on that. So the best way to see this is through a scope, right? You can swap sensors because they're all the same, but that's going to be time consuming. So let's run this. I'm going to gather the data too here. I'm going to turn it on, and I can see there on my screen I'm gonna show you that because my laptop is outside right now. It's running. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna explain to you what happened there. So I'm gonna start this, and then I'm gonna go drive. We see that ultrasonic is black, and right now I'm not getting any signals there right now on my my what I call that, on my scope. So let's go there. I'm just gonna park this, and let's analyze that waveform that we got. Okay, so let me stop this. Let's go back. Ay, why does it do that though? You know, let me try this again because I had a capture uh, during the ignition on, right? But I don't know why, because I'm using a Pico 7 right now. So I'm gonna use the Pico 6 because maybe the 7 needs updating. So let's do that again. Okay, so we're back on this capture using a Pico 6. So here, this part here, I did the ignition on first. So let me adjust this so we can see ignition on. That's ignition on, right? That's my blue. And if we're gonna go zoom in, that's how our lean communication is supposed to be. So that's from, I think, 11 or 10, 10.55 go to, let me see, that's around 1 volt. So 1 volt, yeah. So that should be your lean communication voltage signals in there. So now, let me go back in there, red, yellow. So that's ignition on. And you can see right away that our green, we don't have signal. I don't think that 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 wire is a little bit broken because we can see there's voltage the same as on the blue, red, yellow, and green, right? So green, that's gonna be center right. Just okay. The yellow is the right side. So the center right of our parking sensor is not emitting signal at all. So let me ask this again. This is when I crank, start the engine, and this part is when I try to put it in drive or reverse to activate the sensors, right? So in here, let's zoom in again. And what do we have here? Blue is still emitting signals. That's our left side of our bumper. Red is still emitting signals. That's our left center. Green doesn't emit at all, right? And the yellow, that's our right side. So now we have 3 codes. And on our scope capture, we see one signal or one parking sensor is not emitting. So that's why it's more accurate in using this type of diagnostics, because at least we see instead of removing all those 3 sensors and swapping it from front or back, right? That's too much work. So at least in here, we can see that the other 2, that even though it's giving us code, um, it's emitting that signal, right? So let's go to this right side. I don't know if I have some extra parking sensors. We're gonna try putting in a used one and see if I have one. If not, I'm gonna call a new sensor for it. So yeah, let me check. Okay, so here's our old one. I thought I have the same, this used one. So I'm gonna try this and see if it will work. And it should work. It's just the pattern is different. So I'm gonna install this and try. And let's see our data again. Okay, so I did the same, ignition on. Look, my front right inner is still the same, no communication there compared to the rest. So now since I back probe it, right, um, I'm gonna go to that the first thing I said that I was suspicious on that wire that's almost gonna break. I'm gonna tap on the other end of it, and let's see how it's gonna show the signal. Okay, so I tap in on the other side of that lean bus on our front right, and I use the yellow signal here on our scope. So let's try that again. I'm just gonna do ignition on. So that's ignition on. As you can see here, it's trying to do something. You can see that. And this one is not pulling all the way to the ground. There's a communication there. If you compare it to our to our other good known. So I wonder if I'm just because I don't have that particular sensor itself. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use the front inner left and put it in front inner right, right? And then let's see how the signal works. Okay, so I swap our sensor from the inner front sensor from right to left. So our blue, or no, that's our reference, the blue, because that's a good known. The red will be our faulty sensor, right? The yellow, I took it off, so we can just turn that off. And now the green, that's gonna be our sensor from the front left inner that has a signal, the red. So when we ignition on, and we know if the sensor is already the fault, this signal is just gonna swap, right? So we should not see any signal on the red if the sensor is faulty, and the green we should see a signal. So I'm gonna do ignition on. Let's play this. Ignition off first, and ignition on. So not the sensor, right? As you can see that the red trace, that's our faulty sensor that we're using. The green, as you can see, we don't have anything here, and we're using a good known sensor. So why is that? Is the voltage the same on this one? Let's see first. So it's not a sensor. It's gonna be a wiring issue on this guy. So that's 10 to 800 millivolts. How about the red that we suspect as a sensor issue? That's 10 to 900 millivolts. The green, we got 8 volts there. Why? So I have an issue here. 8 volts. We got 8 volts there. That's why. So now, and I said earlier that I should not be worried about the power because they all share the same, right? Even on the side sensor, and the side sensor has no fault. Now since our lean, starting lean on our green, that's the fault that we can see that no signal here, showing 8 to what? Let's see here, 8 to almost ground, so that's good. Okay, but showing 8 there, that's not good. So let's check the supply power going in to that sensor, right? So I'm gonna hook up our yellow trace and see. Okay, okay guys, so what I'm gonna do right now is I took out our blue channel, I hook up on our number 10. That's our joint connector here, right? Because we know power here is good. Power on the rest are good. Now we're suspecting a power supply issue on this sensor here. So number 10, that's my blue channel. Number 6 here on the sensor itself, that's gonna be the yellow channel, right? Same thing, green on the LIN bus connection, and left front center red. So I just did that here so that if I can see a difference between 10 and 6, we know there's something wrong on this wire here. Because I'm not really worried the rest here, because it's just one supply power from there and it's just gonna separate. So I'm concerned more here right now, right? Because I think we have an issue on the supply voltage, because the voltage here on the lane is starting at 8 and the rest are starting at 10, right? 10 or 11. So let's try that again and see. Okay, I'm just gonna turn on our yellow channel and let's try this again. Yes, already ignition on. I'm gonna go ignition off. Ignition on again. And then let's see our signal here. I'm gonna stop this. Okay. So what I said was the blue is the supply right now, right? That's what I said. What's our numbers here? It's 11. Okay, that's the supply. Let's go back here first, right? And then yellow is the pin number 6 on the sensor itself. Pin number 6. Here's our pin number 6. I'm gonna go yellow here. Oops. Pin number 6 right now. That's what? 1094. Okay. 1094, almost 11 volts. And green, that's 8. So what's going on here? We got the same pattern here, but what's going on here? The only that it can communicate, I don't think we have a ground issue though. Unless we have a ground issue, but they all shared ground. They all shared ground. So, and I use a sensor from left going to the right. This is our sensor now for right side, from the right side. Okay. So why is still not communicating or not giving any signal at all? Okay, let me try playing this and maybe put it in drive. I'm gonna start a vehicle right now. Still have these guys here. I'm gonna put in drive. Front outer left. Front outer left here. Front outer left. This is all inner here. And we can see here, both on our outer, looks like that's working, but our inner doesn't do anything at all. Park. But my inner signals there is working. Zero. Both our outer left and outer right is working. My inner. right is still not working and inner left, but on our signal there, on our signal here, that this is my inner left, and it's working. We got communication there. Green trace is our, that's our communication. So what's the voltage in that one right now? That's 1095, okay. And then about the red, 1095. Look, there's a voltage difference. 1095 and the red is 12. So I'm gonna zoom in again. Here's my green. Green here. How much is that? Oops, let me close this first. Let's start from scratch. So green is 11.1, more or less. Yeah, 11. Red, that's 12.87. That's at least 2 volts difference. Our supply, let's grab our supply voltages. The supply, this is our main. That's 11. Why is it 11? Oh no, 13. Okay, 13. I'm looking at the wrong one. 13. More or less 13. And then our supply going into the sensor itself. What's 13? The same. But I have difference on our. So I wonder this is just a sensor, but I already swapped the sensor. What else can cause that? I guess we're gonna check our grounds. Compare. But as you can see here, this is our concern here. Not giving out signal. I wonder if I'm gonna tap at number 4. Because what we did was I just bypass here a pierce probe on this side here, right? I didn't get any signal. I wonder if I'm gonna go number 4 if I'm getting a signal there. Because if yes, because that's connected to other sensors, and then our ground here, they share the same old ground here, right? Unless there's an issue itself with the ground on the sensor itself. That's the other thing. But they have all the same ground. So I'm gonna remove some channels. I'm gonna tap 1 on our 4. I'm not gonna worry about our power supply now because they're the same from the main, which is shared to the rest of the sensor, and the same to number 6. So I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna tap 1 of the ground here and then tap on number 4 on the joint connector and see what will be the signal from there. Okay, so let's redo this again. Blue will be our signal wire or the LIN bus that's going to the joint connector. The yellow will be our ground. So that's gonna be lower a little bit here. No, that's gonna be in there. The green is the same. That's a signal wire coming out from that sensor. And the red is gonna be the same too, from the left front inner. So let me play this. Oops. And then let's do an ignition on. Okay, ignition on. Now my blue has something there, as you can see there. Okay, since I'm That's my main. That's going straight to the joint connector. Where can I go in? Oh my god. Oh. Okay, let me start this. Put in drive. Okay. Reverse. And then park. And let's check our capture. Okay, so this is my ignition on. As you can see, my blue, that's the connection that's going to the joint connector, but the same wire from this green, right? But this green is on the sensor itself. And then ignition on, and then this is where I crank and start the vehicle, and this is where I play put in drive and reverse. So let's zoom in. Check first our ground. The ground is good because that's reading at 0 volts. So I'm not worried about the ground now. Since I get a signal from the joint connector itself, I know now that from my joint connector going to the sensor itself, there's something wrong on that wiring. So I'm gonna zoom in more and let's check our voltage signals here. So green, as you can see here, that's gonna be reading 10.72, 10.84. The blue, which is the same as the green, but it's in the joint connector, 1274. From 1072 to 1274. Okay? Our red looks like it's the same signal, right? 1274. And they have the good pattern as a LIN communication. You can see that. So now, just to prove my point that there's something wrong on that wire from the joint connector going to the sensor itself, I'm gonna put a jumper wire, and I should expect that there should be a communication in this green wire or a green channel. So just to recap what I did, my blue channel is on this joint connector here, right? And we get a communication here. But on our green channel, on the sensor itself, we don't get any. And there's a voltage difference by 1 or 2 volts, something like that. So what I'm gonna do, I'll put a jumper wire here and it should work now, the sensors. Okay, here's my setup. Here's our connection from the joint connector. Put a jumper wire going in there. Our green should still be on the attached to the scope right now. And yeah, let's see the signals. Okay, so we will have no blue trace here. Let me turn that off. So we're gonna focus on our red, green. The yellow is still on the ground, but I should expect something on the green right now. Let's play this. Okay. First ignition on first. Now I can see something on my green trace there, which is a good thing. I'll show you guys right now. Now we're gonna start this. And then I'm gonna put it on drive. And still I have an ultrasonic sensor blockage there. Why? Why is it doing that? Well, I have signals now though. What is still wrong? Unless he doesn't like that. Jumping that wire going into that. Okay, let's see. Okay. I don't know what's going on in this one. Unless he doesn't like that. Jumping that, because that's all the main communication now from the other modules or for other sensors. Is it the same numbers here? I'm just gonna check here right now. While I jump, that's 10.26. Okay, this guy 10.3. Yeah, the same voltage. Well, we jumped the whole thing going into the sensor. Now the question is, why is it saying sensor blockage? My ground is still ground. So what's going on this one? Yeah, I see the signal. Signal is there, but there's difference of signal captures there. But why is it showing sensor blockage? Why? Um, we know what we know is that when we backprobe that signal on the sensor itself, it's not giving us a proper signal, or not. The lin is not even pulling it down to the ground, and then there's a voltage difference when we compare on the left side and the right side. There's a 1 volt difference. It's not our power supply because it's the same voltage signal coming from the main joint connector going to the sensor, not ground. Unless it's using different grounds. We have 3 grounds on that. I just measured 1 ground as of right now. So my ground is connected. Unless we have another ground issue here. We have voltage difference between that wire. It's 100% sure. Okay, I don't know what's the next one here. Should I check the other grounds on this one? I think I should check that and see. Okay, let's see. I connected the rest of the ground. Okay, that's grounded. I'm gonna stop this. Let's see. First, the blue is the other ground. Why is it from? Why is it showing negative? That's minus 2 volts. Blue, red. Same thing, minus 2 volts. Um, Yellow. Minus 2 volts. Why? Looks like that's weird. 6 volts. So green is from 0 volts. And it went just 6 volts. Ignition on. Unless we really have a voltage drop on this one. Let me start this car. Let me start this car. Reverse. Sensor blockage still. I'm gonna stop this. Let's see that again. 6 volts and it goes up to 8. That's very weird. Blue, we got minus 1 volt there. I don't know why it's showing minus 1 volt. I don't know if that's normal. Oh, I need to check other ground side too. Minus 1 volt there. Green staying at 8 volts. It's all staying at 8 volts. So why? And when we try to jump it, because the only thing I can think of is power going into the sensor. It's gonna establish communication when we try to, what do you call that? When we try to activate the parking sensors, we should run at 10 volts. Then it's gonna do a square wave pattern, but we still have this issue, 8 volts coming out from the sensor, and that's coming from the left side parking sensor. So I know it's not a sensor issue, because the left side last time was showing a different voltage, and then we swapped that to the right side, which has no signals coming out. So I'm still thinking that we have a voltage issue difference here, unless that one doesn't like jumping from here going here, right? Maybe he doesn't like that, so that's why it's still saying sensor blockage. But we measured from here, that's the same pattern as on this guy, but when we jump it, it's trying to jump on this guy. And during our testing, I know it's not a sensor because this one was, the original setup was this one was giving a signal, right? There was a signal. This one has no signal and showing 8 volts. This one is 10 volts going ground. This one is just staying at 10 volts, right? Or 8 volts. And this what's in the situation right now. So we swap both inner, right to left, and now the right side, that sensor is showing a good pattern of link communication. Now on the left sensor, it's not showing that. We know that our power supply in the joint connector is the same as going to the sensor. Our ground now, I'm just wondering why is that showing -2. So before, because I'm just gonna call the harness on this one, the extension harness that's going all the sensor, because I know I'm positive that it's not a sensor issue. I'm gonna check the other ground here. So we have 2 grounds here. I'm gonna check the 3 grounds here on the left side, and let's see if they have the same pattern on that one, right? Because that's my first time to see it showing -2 volts on the ground side. Yeah, and then we'll see from there. Okay, so I connected our blue, red, and yellow on the ground on the left front inner, right? So let's just do a recap here. During starting, our red is going at least, no, that's green. Where's my red? Blue is going, when activating -2 volts. minus 2 volts, red, minus 2, yellow, minus 2. Okay, so now let's start this and see again. Looks like it's the same pattern. I'm gonna activate our reverse or drive. Sensor still blockage, reverse, drive, and let's check our pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this. This part here is when I was playing around reverse and drive and sensor blockage. Blue is reading minus 2.7. Okay, so all ground is the same, and I should expect they're all the same because they're just connected to one joint connector. Well, anyway, our green, I just left our green on the same signal on the right parking sensor. I should still showing 8 volts. So it's not power going in to the sensor, and our ground is going, it's the same. And what else? Our signal wire, just the difference between the sensor and to the joint connector. And we try to swap with the parking sensors, right? Left and right. So in this case, I'm gonna call the front wiring harness on this one. It's just an extension harness. It's going on to the sensors. And let's do a follow-up repair on this. And let's see. It's very weird to have that issue. I tried to jump. Maybe the computer doesn't like that when jumping that. But maybe if I don't hook up the signals, could be, or the scope, and just jump that wire. But I'm still, I think it's not the sensor. That's my conclusion in there. Because the right sensor going to the left, there's a signal coming up from that sensor, so that's not a sensor issue. So my diagnosis on this one is the front wiring harness, because there's a difference between the joint connector going to the sensor. So yeah, we tried to jump it, but it didn't work. But yeah, that's my diagnosis right now, because I know there's power going in, there's ground, sensor works, we swap that, so there's nothing else, right? It's just a wire. So yeah, let's do a follow-up repair on this one, and we'll see. Hey guys, so welcome back. So I'm gonna be doing our GV70 regarding the parking sensors not working, just to, because it's been so long already. Oh, I don't have the key. Anyway, it says in the cluster that there's a ultrasonic or sensor blockage. We did some diagnosis. I got the part now, or the customer came back for a while now. This part here, I called the two front parking sensors and our wiring harness here, the extension wiring harness on the bumper. So I'm just gonna do the job. After that, we're gonna reassess again if our issue is fixed or not. Alright guys, so I replaced the harness and the front sensors. I'll explain to you what I saw on the front sensors compared the actual one on the microcat or the parts catalog. So I'm just gonna start this vehicle. Let's see, run in park or on drive. Okay, you see that it's working now. Reverse. Well, at least now when that front parking sensor is activated, there's no more warning message there that parking sensors block. So I'm gonna show you, it's so confusing in the parts catalog and the actual itself on the bumper. So anyway, at least it's good, it's working now, and yeah. Okay, so here's our old harness. and we clearly see that um, on our voltage reading when we use our scope, right? Anyway, so my concern was I called the inner part of the parking sensor, and as you can see here, that's how it looks like. It's a flat one, but in reality, in the bumper itself, the inner one is this guy here. So sometimes it's confusing. Make sure also, you know, just to double check what's installed in the car. It could be confusing that someone swapped it, but when I installed this, right, because that's what on the microcat or the parts catalog for the inner one, this one will not fit correctly, right? So sometimes you're gonna think that, hey, someone swapped these parking sensors, this, or a part, someone swapped the part because it will fit. Sometimes it will not fit, right? But anyway, as long as the car is fixed right now, we replace the sensor and the harness. But I think for me it's the harness issue, but I know why it didn't work when we tried to jump that wire, because we were suspecting there's a voltage drop or a, you know, high resistance on that signal wire. We're trying to jump it with something, but it still didn't work. So that's why I end up just replacing the whole harness there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. There's not much video on that replacement because I got so busy today. I have to do it quick. But I hope you guys enjoyed that diagnosis that we did. And thanks again for watching. See you next time.